What's up, lovely people? My name's Liv, and this is PsycKicks! I forgot to do that, I think, in one of the last episodes, and I just, someone was like, why didn't you do it? I forgot, I'm sorry, but I'm here. Alright, if you guys are new to this channel, my name is Liv, I'm a psychic medium, and today we're doing listener stories. On this channel, we talk about all things metaphysical, spiritual, paranormal, and in between. And just like other people that do listener stories, where you, the listeners, or viewers, I guess, send in your stories to moi, and I read them to everybody. However, the twist is that as a medium, I let you know if something paranormal, spooky, or in between is going on in your story, and if so, what it is that I view as a medium that is happening. And yeah, we go from there. So you guys ready to listen to some... I honestly, I read through these loosely and then pick them out and then read them to you. But I did this a week ago, 3 weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago. So 3 weeks ago, Olivia read these stories, and present Olivia does not remember any of the stories, I don't think. So we're gonna, I don't know, knuckle and buckle and get into it. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, first story is titled Bobby, and it is sent in by Rae N. So thank you, Rae, for sending in your story. And Rae says, we moved into this house back in 2018, and although I never felt like it was haunted, I never felt alone. Interesting. Hence why I named the unnamed spirit in the house Bobby. It was kind of a joke so I wouldn't get scared. In 2022, my aunt moved in with us, and we always watched scary videos together along with my brother. I told my aunt that I could feel a woman in the house who would walk around her room or pass through. I told her it was related and that she visited or checked in with her and my mother. At the time, I couldn't explain what she looked like, but I knew she was there. My aunt told me that she had a spirit lift the corner of her mattress off the box spring while she was trying to fall asleep, and something else moved a fan that was on the floor. My little brother would always say that he saw stuff. I believed him, and he said something about a spirit banging on the wall by his bed, but I didn't take it to heart because I didn't want to scare myself and manifest something bad in the house if I gave it attention. Okay, so it sounds like, just to break it down, because I feel like the way you're wording this, Rae, it could seem a little confusing, but I feel like the way that you said this, just so everyone's clear, you're saying that you used to see a ghost of a spirit woman or sense her presence in the house with, around your aunt and your mom, and you said that you felt like this solar spirit was related to your aunt and your mom, just to clarify. And then your little brother would see, he heard banging on his wall. He used to see stuff. Sorry, that's the most little boy thing to say. What do you see? Stuff. Okay. And that he would hear banging on the wall by his bed. But you didn't take it to heart because you didn't want to scare yourself or manifest something bad into the house if you gave the stuff that your brother saw attention. Okay, so moving on. Rae says, in 2023, me and my mother were talking about my little brother being paranoid when I started explaining the spirit relative that lived in the house. Okay, so the spirit relative. Got it. It was the first time I went in depth about the spirits. My aunt and my mother both said that I was describing their aunt, who was dead, and I had never met her. Sounds very accurate. I told my mother about Bobby, who I assume came with the house. He never gave me good vibes, but he never gave me bad vibes either. When I talk about them or see the spirits, it's like a memory in my head. Sometimes I can feel him in my room staring at me with his arms crossed. He just stares and judges me, and sometimes I'll tell him to leave, and I can almost hear the scoff coming out of his mouth or the huff before he walks out the doors. I asked my mother for advice, since she dabbled with the spiritual stuff and knew more than me, on how to get them to leave and how to protect myself. She said to pray to my angels or gods that I believe in for protection. A couple days later, I was sleeping and was having a nightmare of Bobby when I woke up out of nowhere. I could feel him in the room with me. I told him he needed to leave and that I didn't want him in my room while I was sleeping. It took me around 30 minutes to work up the nerve to take my blindfold off and look behind me, and I repeated out loud that he was scaring me and needed to leave, and then he left. It took me a moment to get my bearings together before I went to my mom's room and told her. A couple days after that, my mother was throwing a party and my aunt was invited. She was not living with us anymore, and when I went with her to pick up her daughter, also my cousin, halfway through the ride, I felt someone in the back of the car with us, but I just thought I was making it up in my mind. That I was manifesting a spirit into the car since I was explaining to my aunt what I had been experiencing at home. That is a very spiritually or psychically intuitive idea, honestly. Saying that you felt like you were manifesting someone in the back of the car because you were talking about it. It's very, like, in tune. So anyways, Rae says, I told her not to freak out and that there was a woman in the car. I couldn't physically see the woman, but I knew she was there. I saw her in a hospital or walking down a hallway with a hospital gown on. I asked my aunt if she knew anyone who had died in the family who had gray hair and hunched shoulders. She said it could be her grandmother, whom I've never met either. When she said the woman's nickname, it clicked. I told her that this was the woman I was feeling. I asked my aunt if the woman had died in the hospital, half expecting to be wrong, but she said yeah. I almost cried because I was so overwhelmed. It turned out that she had died in the hospital of cancer from secondhand smoking. I don't think I'm a medium or psychic, but when I guessed that, I thought I was onto something. I only got that my great-grandmother only liked the kids in her family and only spoke when she had something good to say, and everyone listened to what she had to say because it was always important, I guess. Anyways, when I usually see spirits, like I said, it's like a memory, but sometimes when I see Bobby, it's like I'm seeing him from his point of view. I told my mother about him and how he just watches me, and I asked her to describe him to me to see if we were both seeing the same person. She said that he had black hair that was slicked to the side, but I only knew it was just black and slicked. I didn't know in which direction. I told her, quote, I see him wearing jeans and a t-shirt, and she said he wore slacks but some jeans, and at the same time she had seen him in a flannel. Last night I had another nightmare about him. I was looking at it from both his and my perspectives. I was laying in bed, I guess on the phone with some people, and saw him in my reflection. I also saw myself from his perspective, of me laying on my bed and laughing. The person I was on the phone with said they saw something behind me, and when I turned around, that was where my dream ended. I woke up and felt him in the room. I told him to leave and tried to get my heart rate back to normal. I think I fell asleep for 5 minutes before I woke up and turned the other way. Facing the middle of the room and closet, I still had my blindfold on, but I knew he was there again. I ignored him, and as I closed my eyes, I felt the bed dip near the end, on the corner. I thought it was my cat Luna for a split second, but I didn't feel her climb on top of me, and the weight never came back up. Bobby just sat there on my bed. I wanted to scream so bad, but I couldn't, and that made me more scared. After 50 minutes of contemplating what to do, I just tore the blindfold off and put my back up against the wall. I texted my mom to come and get me, and I waited. I told him to leave as I cried. When my mom did come into my room, I told her that Bobby, it couldn't be someone else, had sat on my bed and wouldn't leave me alone. I told my mom she either needed to do a reading or get someone because he was starting to scare me and I wanted answers. Like, why was I seeing spirits, I think, and what did they want? Why were they there? And I wanted her to tell me who Bobby actually was. Nothing else has happened since then. Rae N. Alright, Rae. I love your story. Let me quickly jot back through it and write down some points that I want to talk about because I don't think I'm good enough to just like go through them back in my head. And we'll break it down. Alright. Let's break it down. Okay. I went through it, wrote a couple things down. This is my like breakdown of what you wrote, Rae. Okay, so when it came to, I wrote things down like literally. When it came to you seeing your aunt, or perceiving, I should say, because as a medium, a lot of times we use the lingo of like, oh, I see this or I see that, but it depends on the medium or the psychic person that you're talking to. But for me personally, and we'll get into your psychic abilities as well, Rae, but when you're talking about seeing a ghost or spirit, for me personally, I'm actually not seeing anybody. I like to use the word seeing because it's like a short layman's term, but I'm more perceiving them, or I'm not talking to a spirit, I'm communicating with them. Because like Rae, I don't physically see spirits in front of me. That's different for other mediums. Some mediums physically see souls or spirits in front of them, but for me, similarly to Rae, I am what I like to dub a mental medium. So I will clairvoyantly or psychic seeing perceive souls in what is known as your mind's eye, or like you see things as if it was a daydream or someone else's, or a memory, but it's not your memory that you're thinking of. So if I were to ask you, like, can you envision a taco? Can you? Because if you can, you might have clairvoyant capabilities, because I see things 99.9% of the time, perceive things in my mind. So one, Rae says you felt like there was a relative of a spirit around your mom and your aunt at your house. 100% agree with you. And let me clarify that I do believe you were perceiving your great aunt, which is your mom and your aunt's aunt. However, her soul is not coming to speak to me. I am getting that information more psychically, I would say, from my spirit guides as confirmation. And the reason your great aunt isn't coming to me is because she doesn't need to. This isn't a reading for her, and there's not anything that she really needs to do. So I just want to give you that validation, though, of I believe, based on what my spirit guides say, but not specifically from her, because I want to break down mediumship a little bit in these videos, of that is how I'm perceiving that information, as yes, you were indeed perceiving your great aunt, which is so freaking cool. And yeah, that's just, she's not talking to me. My spirit guides are telling me that. So I don't want people to be like, oh, you're talking to her great aunt. No, in this instance, I am not. Also, something I want to touch on, and I probably should have said before I started getting into this more. You, Rae, say that you don't think that you are a psychic or a medium. That is fine. You don't have to label yourself as a psychic or a medium, because it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. So many people come to me during readings and they'll ask me, like their private readings, they'll say, am I a psychic or a medium? And then they'll tell me a story. That's not for me to say. You dictate if you're a psychic or a medium. You let that go however you want. In my opinion, I believe that everybody has psychic abilities and they are unique and individualistic to you. And your psychic capabilities, or the capacity in which you can use your psychic senses, is also going to be different for everyone. Whether it means they're a psychic, they're a medium, or they don't care. It doesn't matter. You don't have to label yourself. You can just exist however you want. So don't let anyone be like, you have these powers. You have to do something with it. You don't have to do crap with that. So labeling yourself is more stressful and it's not something that you want to do. You don't have to. Don't let anyone say anything about you. So just that's my little soapbox that I'll just step off from for a second and we'll move on. Okay, this is what I talked about already a little bit, but you said that when you talk about or see spirits, you perceive them like a memory in your head. Same, girl, same. I already talked about it. Clairvoyance. Clairvoyance can be perceived. It is one of the 6 psychic senses in so many different ways by people. It isn't always like, I see dead people. And you see them physically in front of you. That is not how I perceive them, because that's scary. When I was little, if you guys want to watch the very first video that ever came out on this channel, I talk about how 8-year-old Olivia used to perceive souls just standing in front of her, but I couldn't make out their facial features, almost as if like their face features were smudged, like a letter in a newspaper. And it terrified me. So I asked my spirit guides and spirit in general, please don't show me people like that, because that's terrifying. They're just standing there. And my psychic abilities weren't developed enough because I was a child and because where I was in life, just a lot of different factors and things. Your abilities can change over time. They're fluid. They're not something that's stagnant. So over time, now I perceive souls and spirits very similarly to how Rae does, which is in my mind. I see them like a memory, but I know that that memory, that thought or image that I'm seeing isn't my own, because it's intruding or inserting itself in my own thoughts that I know are mine. So I just wanted to say I also perceive souls like that. A lot of times, if you get a private reading with me, I explain that I make funny faces, which you guys will probably see in other videos too, where I'm perceiving information from. So when I'm listening to souls or spirits that are in heaven or spirit, I will sort of look this way because I'm seeing things that they're showing me in a daydream-ish sort of state that aren't my own thoughts. So I hope that helps you, Rae, with just feeling a little like someone else experiences this too. Now, when you talked about feeling your great grandmother in the back of the car with you too, and you got that information, she was showing you that information of, I was in a hospital, this is what I looked like, I passed in a hospital. There's a lot of clairs going on there. I know you're probably perceiving clairsentience too. Now, clairsentience is another one of the 6 psychic senses that is going to be psychic sensations or feelings or emotions. A lot of people will say, well, I'm an empath. That is clairsentience. Feeling other people's emotions is a psychic sense. However, I also like to call clairsentience your psychic proprioception. So I would assume in this instance, Rae, when you were sitting in the car with your aunt and your cousin and you felt like there was someone in the back street, just like if someone actually physically was in the back seat, that might have been one of the ways in which you were perceiving the soul of your great grandmother. Because proprioception, if you guys don't know, I will tell you, is your ability to understand where your physicalness is in space in relation to things around you. So like one of the things is like puppies. Puppies grow really fast with their feet and their tails, so they like knock things over all the time. It's because their body is growing faster than their mind can understand where they exist in space and time. So same thing with souls or spirits. If I step into a room, or like Rae was in the car and she felt like her grandmother was sitting in the back seat, that is feeling a soul or spirit in the room with you. And that is a form of clairsentience. So physical or psychic seeing or sensations. So you were using both clairvoyance and clairsentience, and I feel like you were probably using clairsentience in a more complex manner as well, of not just proprioception of feeling her in the back seat with you guys, but I'm sure she was probably, and you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, if you do watch this, Rae, that you were probably feeling emotions like happiness, sadness, whatever she was feeling at that point in time in the car about a certain topic, your great grandmother, but also what she was probably feeling trying to convey information to you about her passing, of like who I am, things like that. For me, I will get clairsentient feelings of how someone is related to someone, which might sound really weird. So I will know that this woman is or this person, this soul, during a reading, that they're a father or a grandfather or a grandmother or an aunt by a clairsentient sort of emotional feeling. So that is kind of how clairsentience is much more complex than just being an empath, but it is a lot of layers of understanding and feelings and emotions. So super cool. Now the next thing I wanted to talk about was your mother's idea and like concept of protecting yourself against souls and spirits. This is what my mother used to tell me all the time too, because when I was little, I think my psychic abilities developed into mediumship from when I was little. Because for me personally, and this is a difference of opinions for other people in the spiritual community, I think there's a difference between being a psychic and being a medium. Being a psychic would be being able to perceive spiritual information. However, you can't communicate with the spiritual information you're seeing. I wrote a blog post on our website about it, how being a psychic is kind of like having polarized sunglasses. So polarized sunglasses, if you're like a fisherman, or if you've ever gone fishing, polarized sunglasses are really cool because they allow fishermen to see fish through the water. It's really weird. It's almost like a superpower. I had a stepdad who would let me wear his polarized sunglasses when I was little, and we would go fishing, and I was like, oh, I could see the fish, and I didn't really want to catch them, but I just like watching them. So that is kind of what it was like when I was a child. I used to see souls and spirits, but I never got information from them. It was just like if someone would walk in the room and just stare at you. And as a child, that's very intimidating. It's very scary, which is one of the reasons why I used to just be like, please don't talk to me. Please just go talk to my mother, because I'm not a medium. I see you, but you need to talk to her. She can help you. I can't. And I would just go to my mom and she'd be like, you just have to tell them to go away, because you can't talk to them. You don't want to talk to them. They're scaring you, and that's valid. So I would do similarly a similar thing. So your mom said to pray to gods, goddesses, or angels that you believed in. Very, very good advice. You don't have to be a certain religion or anything. Whatever strikes a chord with you. If you feel like you're being sort of intimidated, or you're just intimidated by perceiving spiritual things. Because the souls that I was seeing as a little kid, they weren't necessarily doing anything wrong, but just their presence was, I would have a lot of anxiety about it. Just feeling their energy there, but not being able to communicate with them. It was very scary. So I would ask them, like, please go away. One of the things that I did was I would talk to my spirit guides. That's just something that I wanted to add to your mom's really good idea of gods, goddesses, angels, deities, whatever you believe in. That is 100% valid. Be like, please help them go away. The other thing is your spirit guides. I also believe as a medium that it is not just you who is in control of your abilities. So when we perceive psychic information, if you're a medium or psychic, you are the channel in which spiritual energy is flowing through, very much similarly to like a Bluetooth stereo or like your computer right now. Like I'm not physically there, but this energy is streaming through and you're able to watch it, right? Well, there's a lot of things in between it as well that have to happen in order for the phone to work, or for this to work, or for Bluetooth to be able to play music outside of the little speaker thing. And the way that happens spiritually, I like to say or compare it to, is with your spirit guides. So kind of like the old timey, what are they called? Operators, like phone operators. You dial 411 and you get put up with an operator. Similar to that, if you look up old pictures of operators, people would make a phone call. Think about the person making the phone call, the energy or soul or spirit or entity, being, whatever, making energy go through you. It's going to a certain part of you physically. That is making the call. That is that spiritual entry doing things. Now you have your spirit guides. Everyone has spirit guides. If you're listening to this and you're like, I don't have spirit guides, you do have spirit guides. Oh, my camera's gonna die. Hang on. Okay, we're good. You do have spirit guides. Everybody has spirit guides. That's for another topic for another day, because I'm already getting really close on time with this anyways. And we're only in one story, which we might just do one. Maybe we'll do more. Hang on. Everyone has spirit guides. So when someone, soul, entity, spirit, being, whatever, makes that call, they're using you to try and get information to come out. That's why we're mediums. We're the medium in which spiritual energy goes through, or psychic energy. So your spirit guides are going to be the operators. They're going to be the call girls. And if you look up old pictures of the operating people that were operators, because you would just call the operator and then they would connect you to the person. You didn't have like phone numbers for a little while when telephones first came out. So you go, hey, operator. That's going to be your spirit guides. Your spirit guides would then, or the operator ladies, take this big old long cord and they plug it into this big old switchboard that's in front of you with all these little pluggy doodles. You, my friend, are the pluggy doodle. And your spirit guides are the ones that move that information through you. So whether you receive information clairaudiently, so psychic hearing, clairvoyantly, clairsentiently, claircognizantly, clairgustantly, tasting, or clairaliently, smelling, those are going to be the ways in which you receive spiritual or psychic information. And your spirit guides are going to be the ones that plug in that information from said soul or spirit to evoke those sensations from you. So if at any point in time you're receiving information in a way that you don't like, or that you find scary, or you're perceiving someone or something that you don't want to, you can pray not only to your angels, guides, or angels, gods, deities, whatever you believe in. You can also pray to your spirit guides, because your spirit guides usually be like, hey, I don't like this. This is a no-go, Chancho. I had a hard day at work. I haven't eaten ice cream yet. I need to take a bubble bath. I'm just not in the mood for this. And they will tone it down. So, I mean, if you guys want a video on like how spiritual psychic information can come through, and how maybe your spirit guides, because they can, tailor it down for you, we can make a video. Let me know that in the comments below about that. But if there's a way that you don't like something or someone is bothering you, you can tell the soul or spirit themselves. You can pray to angels, gods, deities, whatever, but you can also tell your spirit guides. So your mom was very, very right in that, Rae, and it makes me happy that she was such like a good guide for you, I would say. But yes, you do have power and protection. One of the things that's really been getting me through things lately, just life in general right now, as well as my mediumship and motherhood, is telling myself like, you are divinely loved and protected because you matter, which is very true. And if something is bothering you or you just don't want to deal with it, maybe that'll help with you. But anyways, okay. The last thing and the biggest topic that we probably want to talk about is Bobby himself, since this is what the entire story is titled. So this one, I'm not entirely sure what it is, because I'm not. And I'm not going to lie and be like, this is exactly what it is. So I'm going to tell you the two hypotheses that I have about this said quote-unquote spirit Bobby for Rae. One of the things that has been happening that I've been realizing, so for example, last year, one of the big overarching themes that I learned as a medium from making videos and doing private readings, so talking to people, their spirit guides, souls related to them, their past loved ones, is that meditation is different for everybody. Meditation isn't just the quintessential sitting in a quiet room, listening to repetitive music or calming music and like quieting your mind. It's also doing things. So meditation is different for everyone. Sometimes it's just a way in which that you can get your mind to sort of remove its ego a little bit and allow thoughts to pass. Like, you don't just think on one thing the whole time. If something that you have a problem in your life or a thought that you've been thinking about comes in, you look at it, you accept it, and you let it go. That sort of thing. I'm not just like looking at it, and letting it bother you. It's more of like, okay, I have this problem. It's not that big a deal. I see it, I recognize it, I accept it, and then let it go. And then that's how you're going to get more psychic information, by removing that ego of having to solve a problem and just being like, okay, it is what it is. And then your spirit guides, or spirit in general, can sort of pop information in, because you're putting yourself in that more meditative trance-like state. But that can happen for people in a lot of different ways. For me, going for walks really is a meditation for me. Cleaning horse stalls, really good meditation for me. Sometimes when you're driving in your car, really good meditation. Watching TV or scrolling TikTok, that is a meditation for people. So whatever it is, that's one of the things that souls and spirit has been teaching me as a medium over the past year. Now, this year, new year, the thing that it seems like they're trying to teach me now, or this concept that I never really realized before, is that we can create, I'm calling them spiritual hypnopomps right now, because I don't know a better word for it. It's not a, gosh, now I can't think of the word. It starts with a Z, I think. It's not a zygote. That is a biology term. I'm blanking on the term right now. But basically, like, you can create a haunting for yourself. And I don't know what Bobby is for sure. All I know is that this entity for Rae is not an attachment, but I do think it is something that is associated to or a reflection of yourself, which is going to be weird. This is the one thing that spirit has been giving me like a brain buster on recently, and it's kind of making me uncomfortable because I don't know the answer yet. They're just like, here's this topic. What do you know about it? I'm like, I don't know anything about it. Kind of like when you go into school and you get a pre-test, you know, they're like, how much do you know about this thing? And you're like, I'm literally taking the class so that I can learn about this thing. Can you just tell me the answer? And I want to share with you guys that I'm uncertain about this, but it is something that spirit has been like popping into readings recently and things like that. So when it comes to Bobby, I think when you said that you believe this spirit came with the house, I feel like this spirit may be a reflection of yourself in some way, shape, or form. And if you don't agree with that, that is entirely okay. Because again, like I said, I don't know for sure. Being a medium and perceiving spiritual information is kind of like a metaphysical Rorschach test of like, here's an ink blot, here's an energy, here's information a soul is showing you. What do you perceive it as? And that might be different for everybody. However, when I was reading this, I was thinking too to myself, like, this is going to be a separate soul, a separate entity, someone or something that is haunting this house. But as I was reading it, I feel like I perceive, unlike your great aunt and your grandmother, I feel like I'm perceiving the energy of this spirit or association, whatever manifestation of Bobby, because I perceive it very similarly to how Rae does and how Rae's mom was in the story as well, of like having the slick black hair, this very kind of like Sasuke from Naruto attitude, like this bad boy kind of like, I'm this mysterious whatever guy attitude. But I've also been doing this for people too in the past couple months, where these manifestations are actually themselves, and these people think, or I shouldn't say these people, my clients think when they tell me these stories that this is going to be someone else, some other entity separate from themselves, this own consciousness, and it's not. So the reason I believe this is because I've done this before recently, where these souls are just, I don't know how you guys do it or how it's possible, but so a hypnopomp, let me talk about it this way. A hypnopomp, as far as I understand, I'm taking that word from hypnopompnic hallucinations. Now, hypnopompnic hallucinations are when you are asleep, as far as I understand in layman's term, when you're asleep and you wake up. So you physically wake up, but your brain still is in dream mode. So it's your conscious and your subconscious, like having a battle, basically, to where you wake up out of sleep, but the things that were happening in your dreaming consciousness, or subconscious, I should say, are present in your waking consciousness. So like, for example, you're having a dream of having tea with this woman, and you wake up and you are in bed, but you still see the woman drinking tea across from you at your bed. So it's like your brain is sort of just having a fight a little bit, or just confused maybe. So I feel like spiritual hypnopomps are when the subconscious and the conscious come together and evoke this sort of energy or this essence, because as a medium, the only thing I'm doing is channeling energy. When a soul passes, they are energy. However, I feel like this energy is associated to you. It is a reflection of you, or a projection of your subconscious self at a conscious level. And it's weird. I know it doesn't make sense to me entirely. However, the fact that your mom was able to perceive Bobby as well as you does not, well, how do I want to say this? Does not make it that he is a separate entity from yourself. Because, like I said, I've been doing readings for people where these souls, they're not souls, these hypnopompnic, spiritual hypnopomps are present. And spirit guides have had to tell me, no, that's a reflection of this person or an aspect of this person. And it's, I don't know. If we have any like psychology or psychiatrist people in the comments, please let me know what you think about this, because it is something very novel to me and it's been busting my mind. Anyways, so more supporting evidence as to why I believe that Bobby is a spiritual hypnopomp and not a spirit that's been separately haunting this house before Rae moved into it with her family. You said when you were having a dream, Rae, that you were seeing him from his point of view, but you were also looking at him with your point of view, and at one point you were looking at him from his perspective. So that makes me feel like the way you're trying to understand or perceive this spiritual being is as a reflection of you, because you saw him as a reflection in the dream. You're also seeing him from his point of view. You're perceiving yourself from his point of view. It's that mirror image of, like, I don't know what it is, but I feel like it's a personification of some portion of you subconsciously, which is why you feel like he's there, but he's associated only with you. It's just very odd to me. Now, the only other thing that I can think of besides a spiritual hypnopomp, so something that is a reflection of you or a projection of yourself, it's like, think of it like this, like if you were to write things about yourself down that you knew and that you didn't know, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, a portion of those things that you wrote it down started projecting in front of you like a movie screen. That's how my spirit guide showed this to me. And I was like, I don't know what to do with this information. So anyways, if he's not a spiritual hypnopomp, which I believe he could be, the other thing that I feel like he could be associated to you, Rae, is a past life. I know this is weird. I've never had a past life come forward and like haunt a current life except for one other time, and I still haven't been able to like dissect that experience because I had that during a private reading like a couple months ago, and I still don't know how I feel about it. I haven't been able to like put it into words to share it with you guys in a video or a podcast, but those are the two ideas that I feel like Bobby could be for Rae as a medium. And I hope you guys will let me know what you think in the comments below, because it's like been a brain bomb that's just been like marinating in my mind for a while, and it's one of the new things that I feel like my spirit guides are helping me learn, which is very interesting to me. So I feel like I went on really long tangent for this one story, which is good, because I think doing shorter, sweet videos with good content are better than like really long, drawn out ones, because you guys don't have a lot of time. I don't have a lot of time either. I have to go downstairs right now and go feed my baby, because what time is it? Yeah, it's his time to have another snack. So I hope you guys enjoyed this listener story. If you want to submit your own listener story, you can do so in the description below. There'll be a link that says submit your spooky paranormal stories here. You can do that if you want to. If not, that's okay too. If you guys are interested in a private reading, I have new private reading availability for July, I believe. And the times are a little bit different too, so that they're maybe a little more cohesive for you guys, because they're a little better for me too as a mom. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this listener story. I thought it was very interesting to kind of like read and dissect, but yeah. So I hope you guys have a good one. When is this going to come out? Wednesday? I hope you guys have a good Wednesday. But until next week, yeah. This is PsycKicks! Peace. One last final thing. I just want to say thank you to all of our lovely patrons that are going to be somewhere after this when I'm done. They'll be like over here. But anyways, okay. Thank you, patrons. If you guys are, well, if you want to be a patron, go out in the show notes. But you don't have to. Anyways. Bye. We're PsycKicks.